November 9th, 1942, 0440 hours. Outside Medjez El Bab, Tunisia. The desert is still cold. Not the cinematic kind of cold, but the sharp, biting chill that crawls under your uniform and settles into bone. Dust hangs in the air, unmoving, as if the night itself is holding its breath. Somewhere in the darkness, engines idle low, men whisper, boots scrape softly against rock. Italian General Giovanni Messe stands beneath a dim lantern, its yellow light trembling against the canvas of a command tent. His face is hard, lined by years of war that Italy was never truly prepared to fight. He has not slept. None of them have. Then the sound breaks the silence. Gunfire, brief, violent, close. A flare erupts in the distance, painting the desert white for a split second. Shadows jump. Orders are shouted in Italian. A small Axis raiding force surges forward, overrunning an Allied forward command post that was never supposed to be here, never supposed to be this exposed. Within minutes, it is over. Bodies lie scattered among overturned crates and smashed radios. The smell of cordite mixes with oil and dust. A young Italian officer rushes toward Messe, clutching a leather satchel pulled from a shattered Allied vehicle. "Signore, we found this." Inside the satchel are maps, lots of them. Not the rough sketches soldiers carry into battle, but clean, printed operational charts, shipping routes, timetables, landing zones, arrows sweeping across North Africa in thick, confident strokes. Messe takes the papers with both hands. You can almost feel the weight of them, not in grams, but in meaning. Back inside the tent, the lantern is turned up brighter. Officers gather close, their boots crunching on sand tracked inside. No one speaks. The only sound is paper unfolding. At first, it looks impossible. Red arrows pour across the Mediterranean like rivers. Algerian ports, Moroccan beaches, airfields marked in neat grids. Names Messe recognizes instantly. Casablanca, Oran, Algiers. Operation Torch. The Allied invasion of North Africa is not a rumor, not a threat. It is already underway. Messe's eyes move slowly, deliberately from one map to the next. His jaw tightens. These are not hopeful plans. They are not desperate gambles. They are overwhelming. Convoy schedules show wave after wave of American transports, fresh divisions, mechanized units, artillery, fuel, food, endless supply lines protected by naval dominance Italy no longer possesses, aircraft numbers so vast they spill off the margins of the page. Someone whispers almost to themselves, "Madonna." Messe says nothing. He has commanded Italian forces on the Eastern Front. He has seen what modern industrial warfare looks like when one side can replace men and machines without pause. And now here it is again, only this time aimed directly at North Africa. He reaches for another document, a comparison chart. Axis fuel reserves, dwindling. Ammunition stocks, critically low. Replacement tanks, delayed. British and American resources, by contrast, read like a ledger without an end. This is not a battle to be won. This is a tide. For years, fascist propaganda had promised a new Roman Empire, Italy reborn as a Mediterranean power, standing shoulder to shoulder with Germany. Mussolini spoke of destiny, of glory, of history bending in Italy's favor. But here, under a flickering lantern in the Tunisian desert, history is very clear. Italy is outmatched. Messe exhales slowly, carefully. Around him, his officers watch his face, searching for reassurance. They do not find it. Instead, they see something else. Clarity.
He folds the maps back into neat stacks, as if order might somehow tame what they represent. His voice, when he finally speaks, is low and controlled. "This war," he says, "has already passed us." No one argues. Outside, the desert wind picks up, dragging sand against the tent walls like distant rain. Somewhere beyond the horizon, American troops are coming ashore in numbers Italy can never match. Tanks Italy cannot replace, aircraft Italy cannot stop. And Giovanni Messe now knows something most Axis commanders refuse to admit. The empire is not collapsing in the future. It is collapsing now.
The lantern burns lower as dawn approaches. Inside the tent, the air feels heavier than before. Maps are spread across a wooden crate that serves as a table, their edges curling slightly in the desert dryness. General Giovanni Messe stands over them, hands braced on the wood, eyes fixed not on a single position, but on the scale of it all. You can almost feel the pressure behind his eyes. Outside, the camp is waking. Engines cough to life. Soldiers line up for rations that grow smaller each week. The smell of weak coffee drifts in, mixing with dust and sweat. War continues, indifferent to revelation. But Messe is no longer fighting the war he thought he was. He traces a finger along a thick red arrow sweeping eastward from Algeria. The Americans have landed in force, men who are fresh, well-fed, well-equipped. Not the exhausted British units Italy has been facing for years, but an entirely new army, backed by factories that never sleep. He knows the numbers. Italy cannot replace tanks lost in a month. America can replace them in days. Italy struggles to fuel what it already has. America ships fuel across oceans without blinking. Messe straightens and turns to his chief of staff, Colonel Francesco De Martini. The man's uniform is dusty, his face drawn. "These plans," Messe says quietly, "were not written in hope. They were written in certainty." De Martini nods. He does not ask what that means. They both know. A runner enters the tent with fresh reports. Allied air superiority increasing. Axis convoys sunk before reaching Tunis. German units demanding fuel that does not exist. Messe reads them with a detached calm that unsettles those watching. For the first time, he is not thinking about winning. He is thinking about surviving what comes next. Messe has never been a blind believer in Mussolini's fantasies. Even before the war, he had warned that Italy lacked the industrial base for prolonged conflict. His success on the Eastern Front came not from ideology, but discipline, keeping men alive enough to fight another day. Now that instinct screams at him. He gathers his senior officers. Their faces are hard, skeptical, tired. These are men who have repeated slogans about honor and sacrifice until they lost meaning. Messe does not repeat them now. "The Americans are here," he says, "not in small numbers, in numbers that do not end." Silence follows. One officer finally asks the question none of them want to voice. "What of Germany?" Messe pauses. Germany is strong, but stretched, fighting in Russia, bleeding men and machines at a rate even Berlin struggles to sustain, and Germany's priorities are not Italian ones. "They will fight," Messe replies carefully, "but they cannot save us from mathematics." That word, mathematics, hangs in the air. This is no longer about bravery or tactics. It is about production, logistics, and time. And time belongs to the Allies. Outside the camp, a formation of Italian soldiers marches past, boots in uneven rhythm.
Their uniforms are worn thin, their rifles older than many of the men carrying them. They look toward the command area with quiet expectation. Messe watches them go. You can almost hear what he does not say. How many of these men will die because Rome refuses to face reality? Later that morning, German liaison officers arrived. Their tone is confident, dismissive of Allied gains. They speak of counterattacks, of holding Tunisia, of turning Torch into another British failure. Messe listens politely. Then he slides one of the captured maps across the table. The room goes quiet. The Germans lean in, eyes scanning convoy numbers, reinforcement schedules, airfield construction timelines. Confidence fades. One officer clears his throat. These figures, they are current, Messe says, captured hours ago. No one laughs. For the first time, the German officers see what Messe saw in the dark, that this is not another skirmish on the Empire's edge. It is the opening of a vice. When they leave, the sun is fully up. The desert is bright, merciless. There is nowhere to hide now, not from aircraft, not from truth. Messe returns to the maps one last time. He folds them carefully and places them back in the satchel. Not as trophies, but as evidence, proof that the war Italy dreamed of and the war it is fighting are not the same. And somewhere, deep beneath discipline and duty, a thought takes shape, dangerous, treasonous, unavoidable. If the Empire is doomed, what responsibility does a general have to his men? The question will not leave him, and soon it will demand an answer.
Midday heat settles over Tunisia like a suffocating blanket. The sun turns the desert white, flattening shadows and draining color from everything it touches. Inside the Italian command post, sweat beads on foreheads, uniforms cling uncomfortably, and tempers sit just below the surface. War councils continue, but something has shifted. Giovanni Messe feels it. Orders arrive from Rome, relayed through Berlin. Hold positions, maintain pressure, preserve the illusion of control. None of the messages mention fuel shortages. None acknowledge the Allied landings. They read like words written weeks ago in a different reality. Messe reads them once, then sets them aside. You can almost sense the weight of what that means. An Italian general ignoring Rome is not rebellion, but it is the first fracture in obedience. Messe does not announce it. He simply begins to act as if the war must be managed, not won. He orders units repositioned to more defensible ground. He limits offensive operations that waste fuel and lives. Artillery fire becomes measured, deliberate. Every shell matters now. Some officers protest. The Germans will see this as weakness. Messe does not look up. They will see it as survival. Outside, Italian supply trucks arrive half empty. One breaks down before reaching the depot, steam hissing from the engine. Mechanics swarm it like ants, already knowing the effort is futile. There are no spare parts. There is no replacement truck. Messe walks the camp later that afternoon. Soldiers snap to attention, but their eyes linger on him longer than protocol allows. They are searching for something, hope, perhaps, or permission to admit fear. He stops near a group of infantrymen cleaning weapons under a tarp. One rifle jams. The soldier curses softly, embarrassed. Messe kneels, helps clear the mechanism with practiced hands. He does not say inspirational. He does not need to. The men watch him walk away in silence. This is not the behavior of a man chasing glory. It is the behavior of a commander preparing for consequences.
That evening, German aircraft roar overhead, heading west. American bombers will follow soon. Messe knows this is only the beginning. Tunisia will become a trap, one that closes slowly, then all at once. He returns to his tent after dark. The satchel is still there. He opens it again, alone this time, studies the maps under lamplight. He notices details he missed before, construction timelines for ports, airfield expansions plotted months ahead. The Allies are not improvising. They are building a road that leads straight to Italy, Sicily, Naples, Rome. For the first time, the war is no longer distant. It is moving home. Messe leans back in his chair, exhausted. Loyalty to Italy has defined his life, but loyalty to Mussolini's vision, that has always been conditional, dependent on competence. And competence, he now knows, is gone. A messenger arrives with news. German commanders plan a counterstroke to throw the Allies back into the sea. Messe nods, says he will provide support, but when the messenger leaves, he closes his eyes. He has seen this before. In Russia, in the desert, in every campaign where optimism tried to replace reality. Men will die to preserve an illusion. Later that night, he writes a private letter, not an official report, not something meant for archives. A warning. It will never be answered. Outside, the desert is quiet again. Somewhere far away, waves crash against North African beaches where American soldiers are unloading more tanks, more trucks, more men. The scale is unstoppable now. Messe understands something others still resist. Wars do not end when leaders surrender. They end when logistics do. And Italy's ledger is empty. As he extinguishes the lamp, one final thought presses in, unwelcome, undeniable. The hardest battles ahead will not be against the enemy. They will be against the truth.
February 1943. The Kasserine Pass. The sound comes first. A distant rolling thunder that grows steadily louder, not from the sky, but from the ground. Engines, hundreds of them. The Allied advance moves like a living thing now, armored columns pushing through mountain passes, infantry following in disciplined waves. Dust clouds rise and hang in the air like storm fronts. Giovanni Messe watches from a ridgeline, binoculars pressed to his eyes. What he sees confirms everything the maps warned him about. American Sherman tanks roll forward in depth, first line, second line, reserves behind them. Artillery units are already unlimbering, firing with a precision that speaks of rehearsal, not improvisation. Trucks move continuously, fuel and ammunition flowing forward as if gravity itself favors them. This is not a breakthrough. It is a machine grinding forward exactly as designed. Messe lowers the binoculars. Around him, Italian and German officers argue in sharp, clipped tones. Some still believe a decisive blow is possible. Others speak of holding actions, of delaying long enough for Berlin to find a solution. Messe does not interrupt. He already knows the truth none of them want to say aloud. Tunisia is lost. The Axis forces are being squeezed between American armies from the west and British forces from the east. Air superiority belongs entirely to the Allies now. Axis convoys are slaughtered at sea. Every retreat costs more fuel than they can afford. It is only a question of timing. During the fighting, Italian units perform bravely, often desperately, holding positions longer than logic dictates.
Messe watches his men endure artillery barrages with grim determination, digging deeper, fighting harder than the situation deserves. You can almost feel his frustration. They are brave enough to win a war Italy should never have entered. After Kasserine, the outcome becomes undeniable. Allied pressure increases daily, Axis positions shrink, ammunition runs low, food is rationed again, then rationed harder. By May 1943, the end arrives not with drama, but exhaustion. Axis forces in North Africa collapse. Hundreds of thousands are captured. Messe himself is taken prisoner, calm, composed, his uniform immaculate despite the dust and defeat. As he hands over his pistol, an American officer recognizes him. "You knew," the officer says quietly, "didn't you?" Messe does not deny it. "Yes," he replies, "before most." In captivity, he is treated with respect. The Allies have read his record. They know he is not a fanatic, not a dreamer, just a professional soldier who understood the cost of lies. Months later, Italy will fall. Mussolini will be overthrown. The empire will collapse exactly as the maps predicted, piece by piece, port by port, city by city. When historians later examine the documents of Operation Torch, they will see what Messe saw under a flickering lantern in the desert, a war decided not by speeches, but by supply lines. For Giovanni Messe, the realization came early, and it haunted him. Because the cruelest truth of war is not defeat, it is knowing defeat is coming and being powerless to stop it.